Great.
Welcome back to Roaming with Restless Women. Today I have an advocate, a fundraiser, and a wonderful person to introduce you to folks. Her name is Wendy Ernzen, and Wendy is a storyteller, a fund development advisor, and a disabilities advocate who's dedicated to making meaningful lives accessible for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and helping their families receive the support that they need. As the mother of an adult daughter with profound autism and bipolar disorder who needs round the clock care, Wendy brings a lived understanding of the grief, resilience, and joy that families experience. This perspective shapes everything she creates and every organization she supports. She serves as a fund development advisor with Schmucker Advising Group, where she helps vision-driven organizations raise the resources they need to support the communities that they serve. Her approach blends strategy, storytelling, and systems thinking, so nonprofits can grow with clarity and purpose. She's also the host and the creator of Let's Plant Houses. It's a podcast featuring more than 40 conversations with families raising loved ones with intellectual and developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, and autism.
I think it's supposed to be Down syndrome, but that's okay.
Down syndrome.
Just to
Okay.
give some examples so people know what IDD means.
That sounds great.
Mhm.
The show showcases the reality of daily life, caregiving, creativity, crisis moments, advocacy, and the ingenuity families use to make the impossible possible. Episodes are warm, honest, and powerful, and the podcast now ranks in the top 50% of podcasts. Wendy created the show to normalize the lived experiences of IDD families and to ensure that no parent or caregiver ever feels alone. What a great mission, Wendy. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me on the show today, Julie. It's truly my honor to be here. And yeah, and as you know, I have it's a passion project of mine to be on
Yes,
Letsplanthouses. Just like this show is for you. It's a passion project of mine.
100%,
Mhm.
100%. I got to get the wisdom of women out in the world. That's my mission.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
And I don't know about you, but I'm a lady of a certain age. So I think that this is the season of wisdom for us, right? So
think so, yes.
yeah, like we've gathered all this knowledge for all these decades, and now is the time to share that.
Absolutely. And this is a time where typically we become invisible.
Mm.
And we are not going to be invisible. That's
Right.
for
Because we have so
sure.
much to share. Why
We
should we be?
do.
I mean, we have so many things to yeah, to share with other people, to teach. This is the time, I think, to actually to do that.
Absolutely. So let me go back and ask you, obviously you are, over your head involved in the IDD community, individuals with intellectual and disabilities and developmental disabilities. Tell me a little bit about, besides your daughter, maybe it was her that kind of catapulted you into this community, but tell me about how you got into the community and what that was like when that happened.
Sure. Yes, it was my daughter. So,
Okay.
yeah, the big reveal. But it started with her journey. Um,
Uh-huh.
and so when she was young, we weren't like basically it started off where she had a what it's called a gross motor delay. And that
Okay.
meant that we didn't know exactly what she was going to need, but she had this diagnosis somewhere around the age of 2 because she wasn't meeting her milestones at the appropriate time. And
Okay.
so we had seen a developmental pediatrician. We're like, well, what does this mean? And they're like,
Mhm.
well, we aren't sure. So you're going to need to do a lot more testing and and things. But in the meantime, we're going to do some therapies to see if we can try to strengthen some of those things that that she's not quite there with. So we said, okay, great. So we started this process. So long and the short of it is, so we started this process at 2.5. She was finally diagnosed with autism at age 7. It's actually
Wow.
it's actually pretty late. I mean, nowadays the goal is to get kids diagnosed by age 2, 2.5. Not saying it happens, but that's the
Yeah.
goal. And considering my daughter now has what's called level 3 or profound autism, which is pretty significant, it is a surprise that it took that long for the diagnosis. But we did see many, many people, many, many therapists. And the good news is she was receiving all the therapies that you would expect, even if she had been diagnosed, because we wanted to make sure that she was getting what she needed at the appropriate age. But yes, the diagnosis itself did not come through till 7. And just one thing I'd like to add, the reason why diagnosis is important, because I know some people are like, I don't need labels for my kids, and I don't blame you. I mean, it's not fun to have a label for your child. But
Right,
what that
right.
does for you, and you might know this, Julie, because I think you said you have a family member that might be connected with the special education community. It
Yes,
opens up resources for you.
it
So
does.
so that's the nice thing about having that diagnosis. And for folks that are caring for your child, it helps them to understand maybe better what the needs are of that student or of that individual.
Absolutely.
So
So,
yeah, that started my journey. So being a mom,
yeah,
starting advocacy at that level at the schools and special education, talking with teachers. I mean, I would sit around a table, and of course, there was always 10 people. Because there would be like all the therapists, all the teachers, the principal, everybody would
uh,
be there for all of her individualized education plan meetings. So that's an IEP.
IEP.
For people who don't know, I want to just spell that out. But that's special, that designation, special support program that they give
Right.
students in special education. And and so yeah, so it started there. And then as my daughter got older, um, she needed more and more and more assistance. Got to the point where she needed 24/7 support based
Wow.
on her needs. Because basically my daughter is in a good place. She's
Uh,
amazing, it's so fun. Like she's got all these interests. She loves going to like the movies and she loves Disney characters and she likes to go to restaurants and all these things. And she is verbal, which is in case somebody was wondering, because normally when they think profound autism,
yeah.
that individual, a lot of folks are nonverbal, a lot of the kids are, or a lot of adults.
Right. Right.
My daughter is fully verbal. And I say that because she can swear. like like she's very good in context with that when she's upset. But when she's with it, she's a lot of fun and we do all these things. But when she's feeling uncertain or she's feeling overwhelmed, that's when behaviors will start to happen. So it might be things like I just said, swearing, might be yelling, might be throwing things, and then it can escalate from there where there could be holes in a wall or there could be she there's other things that can escalate to like higher levels of intensity.
Right.
And for her,
Yes.
sometimes it can be frequency. And so we were starting to see that too as she got into her teen years, even with medication, even with
Ooh.
support. Mhm. And we were doing things in the community at this point because she needed extra help. So we were starting to work in the community. So I was working at a place called the Arc of Northwest Wayne County here in Michigan, but there are many ARCs across the
Yep.
country. They've been around since the 60s and they do a great job supporting people with disabilities. So I started working there. My husband was also on the board of a statewide autism alliance here in Michigan. So we were very tuned in, but things just kept escalating and escalating with our daughter. And so then we got to a point of crisis in our
Yeah.
family. And at that point, we knew we needed to do something else. And we've been asking for help. We just didn't know what to ask for.
Right. Right.
And I also feel that because of our story, there weren't a lot of our stories being told. And I say this
Well, the
because,
stigma, I mean, there's a stigma on any kind of not quote unquote normal anyway.
mm,
And then you add on top of that behaviors, or you add on top of that, family dynamics that push you away. And
mhm,
you've got major crisis situations. I have a daughter who we adopted from Russia, and she had some early issues with bonding, and her behaviors were there, and
yeah,
she's still a little bit socially awkward, but she was able to kind of, I don't know, live with her condition.
Hmm.
And luckily it wasn't horrible, but when we were going through it, it felt horrible.
Of
You know,
course,
when we when we were going through that crisis situation, it felt horrible. It felt like we were doing something wrong.
right?
We should be able to help because we're her parents.
That's right. You should have all the answers,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
We're born with those
Yeah.
answers. We have those kids. It's instant. You should have all
Oh,
the answers.
absolutely. Right, right. And that stigma or that guilt
Mhm.
can really overwhelm you when you get into that crisis situation. And at that point, you really don't know what to ask for.
That's right. And
Hmm.
thank you for saying all that, Julie, because you're absolutely 100% right. That is exactly how it feels. And
Hmm.
then you add on top of that, most people think about autism, they think about Rain Man, or they
Oh,
think about
yeah.
Sheldon from 30 Rock from the Sun, or actually, I don't have the right, that's not the right show. But anyway, my point is, they think about people that are that have different kinds of autism. They don't think about the people that have these struggles.
Yes.
And to be quite honest, the people who need the infrastructure the most are the people who have those struggles. Like
Right.
they need the most resources, so therefore their stories need to be out there so people can understand what they need. And
Correct.
and so we went through this crisis. And again, my husband at this point is tuned in with the state. I am working for a disabilities organization. We are still not getting the support we need. And it's no fault of anybody, it's just what exists or what doesn't exist. And and eventually it took months, but eventually we were able to receive a housing placement for Nick. So I'll just tell you the happy part. So Nicola lives on this campus that's about 40 minutes from our house. Um, and the most important thing is when we call her, she tells us that she's happy. So that's number one.
Oh, yeah.
Um, Number two, we're in the process right now. She's here in Michigan. She can go to school till she's 26. So she's
Mhm.
23 years old. So she's finding her adult life. We're working on job skills, transition skills, and placement. She's in Special Olympics. Last year she won a little award for bocce ball, which I didn't even know she knew how to play bocce ball, but she's learning
Oh,
bocce ball.
wow. That's so amazing.
It's so
Yay.
great. And so, she's building this life, right? And it's not like we're trying to figure out what that is, right? We're trying to figure out the most meaningful life for her. And we're building all these things around her. And she's like more independent than she's ever been. She's having way less behaviors than she ever did in her home. So I know she's being well supported. In the campus itself, just to say that they have 24/7 caregivers. They have therapists on site if she needs extra support, like behavioral support. They have a cafeteria. She has her own apartment. Like it's as we are so grateful every day that she is there.
Oh, it
Well, when
sounds
she received
beautiful.
that
Yeah.
placement, I made a deal with, I say God, but I mean, everybody's got their own thing.
Oh,
So that's
yeah.
what I say. But I made a deal with God. I said, listen, if you can get us through this so that Nicola is supported and we are supported, I want to pay this forward. And so with that, that's why I started the podcast because I'm like, we need to get more of these stories out there to normalize our reality so that not only the people who share our realities don't feel alone, but the people who do not share our realities understand them. So when we ask for
Yes.
resources, when we ask for what we need, we can do that. And that's how real
A
change. How
hundred
real change
percent.
happens.
100%. I'm so in awe of individuals who face these kinds of issues that are family and home issues. These are not issues that are, governmental in nature or they're not outside of you.
Right.
They are integral in your life. And when you have a child with a disability, that is the whole rest of your life.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
you can't, it's not like, we're so relieved when our kids fly off to be independent.
Right.
Yes, most of us, parents, still continue to kind of clue in and worry about their kids, regardless of how old they are.
Right.
But there's an extra pressure on you guys to make sure that where she is, she's number one, like you said, happy, but she's also living her best life.
That's right. And she's safe.
Yes,
There's a
that's
whole, that could be a
another
whole
big
nother
thing.
conversation we're not going to talk about today, but there's different
Yeah.
things you have to evaluate before you make those decisions to make sure it's the right placement.
Yes.
And I say this because in our community, again, there are many people or many adults with level 3 autism who are nonverbal, and the concerns of those parents are like, they can't tell me. They can't
Yeah.
tell me if this isn't working out. They can't tell me something's happening.
Right.
That's a huge concern. So, but yeah, I mean, you're right that it's a different relationship for the rest of our lives. No, I'm not her 24/7 caregiver anymore, but I'm always her. I mean, obviously, I'm always her parent. We're always parents, right?
Of
But I'm
course.
always her advocate. I'm going to be her guardian
100%.
the rest of her life or
Yes.
rest of my life. And that's the other thing. So, like, when parents were planning, like, oh, my kid's going to go to college, right? My kid's
Uh,
going to go to prom, like whatever the things are, all those things when they turn 18 that are really fun and awesome. And
yeah.
by the way, Nicola did go to prom, but we had to think about SSI, so Social Security. We had to think about all of our future planning because
Wow.
that's our job, right? We're caregivers, just so almost as if, I mean, I don't know if somebody has an older parent that they're caregiving for and trying to plan
Oh,
the
yeah.
rest of their life. It's a similar situation to that.
Well, and some of us have it on both ends.
100%.
So, and that's a whole nother conversation, but
Oh, that would be very hard too.
incredibly difficult when you've got and it's not just the emotional stress, but it's the financial stress.
Mm.
Not knowing how to go and get resources, not knowing how then there even are resources. And in this current political environment, being even more ashamed to ask for resources. Um, I just, oh, I don't,
Well, Julie, and I would say this is, without spelling anything out, this is when
yeah,
it's even more important for us to be vocal. This is when it's even
absolutely.
more important to tell the stories. This is when it's even more important to get more information out there as frequently and as often as possible. Because
Right.
that's
A
the
lot
only
of,
way you're going to cut through that noise
yeah.
and cut through things that are fake and be a real person and be authentic in your community. And that's the other thing I like to tell people. And this, I'm put my nonprofit hat on, take my mom hat off,
Okay.
nonprofit hat, work local. So whatever you do, so if you've
Yes.
got global concerns, that's amazing. But if you really want to make an impact, local level. So your city, I guess if you really want to go statewide, you can. But if you want to make a real impact, know
Yeah.
everybody on your school board, know everybody in your, city office, know everyone locally who's doing the things because your community is where it starts. And that's
And
how you
your
get the ripple
community
effect.
is, and your community is where you're going to get the most immediate support and
That's right, Julie.
understanding and
Mhm.
the feeling of not being alone.
Hmm. And the energy, right? Because you need that
Yeah.
energy. Otherwise, because you got to fill your cup. So you got to know that you're not alone, right? So
Yeah.
that need to know you don't have alone. But it's so nice to not be alone
A
and
hundred
work
percent.
together because you're like, oh my gosh, other people understand how I think, or this is
Right.
my village. Like it's just, yeah, I think that's really important.
Community is number one in my book as far as support goes. So tell me about your work with the was it Schmucker
Schmucker
group?
Advising Group. I know, rolls
Tell
off the
me
tongue.
about that. Yeah.
So, so I've been working in fund development for about a little over 20 years. And I
Okay.
say that because being Nicola's mom, I
Hmm.
would work and then I'd stop and then I'd work and then I'd stop because she was my priority,
Yeah.
right? And so
Of
the nice
course.
thing, yeah, so fund development gave me a lot of flexibility to work at times and not work at times. And so I often was a consultant. So for different
Hmm.
nonprofit organizations. So now, again, that Nicola has this placement, and I decided to start working with Schmucker Advising Group. And so what we do is we serve clients, generally speaking, though we wouldn't say no. Generally speaking, we help clients that are between 1 million and 10 million. So it's mid-sized companies, so
Hmm.
mid-sized nonprofits. That's their budget size. And we help them to acquire the resources that they need to do the amazing work that they do. So we help them with messaging. So fund development means fundraising. So we help them with their messaging, we help them with their donors, we help them with storytelling. Because telling your story so that people understand what it is that you do, again, helps you find your people. So even though you do amazing work at this particular nonprofit, doesn't mean everybody's going to love you, and that's okay. But the ones that do
100%.
love you a lot. So tell
Oh,
them what
yeah.
you're doing, right? And that's
100%.
kind of our goal,
Yeah.
is to make sure that the people that love you, or the people that might love you because they're similar to the people that already love you, how do we tell your story better and more often?
Are you finding, are you finding it easier or harder to get commitments over the last several years?
Well, that's a good question, Julie. So it depends on which facet of fund development you're in.
Okay.
So if you are working with your major donors, or your whatever, just individuals who support your organization, and you tell your story well, I see those organizations are still doing well. The organizations, though, that have relied heavily on grants, that's been
Mm,
very problematic because of what's been happening in the federal government. So, and I say this because what I have seen, this is just, me, one person in the industry, but what I've seen is that the federal government, it's one thing to say, we are just no longer going to fund this program, and sorry, no money's happening here. But the federal government instead said, hey, I know we said we committed this money to you guys, but you're not getting it at all. So it created a vacuum. So now you've got all
yeah.
these organizations that are like, holy Toledo, I thought I was getting this money and now I'm not getting it.
Right.
So then what do? They go to their local foundations, they go to their local major donors, whatever. The other people say, listen, can you help me? Can you help me fill this gap? And sometimes they can and sometimes they can't. But a lot of those private foundations now, those family foundations, private foundations, all the others that are not government, are now like, holy Toledo for us, because now we've got way more applications, way more need, and we get that this need exists. We understand, but we only have so much money.
Right.
So that's where I'm seeing a lot of the problems that organizations are happening, the ones that are relying more on the government funding. And and it's unfortunate because I can understand the government trying to right size and trying to spend less money.
Sure.
I can empathize with that, but like, pay what you owe. And then cut
Yeah.
it, right? Like, pay what you owed in 2020, whatever. I think they started doing this in 2025. So pay what you owe in 2025 and say 2026, you're not getting any more money. And that's how we're going to right size that
Right.
budget. But that's not what happened.
So there's some, so that the organizations who would be affected can plan
Yeah.
alternative strategies to fill a gap that they know is going to happen, as opposed to, again, like you said, Holy Toledo, we've got a big old budget deficit going
Yeah,
on right
because
now. So
they were
how can
counting on
we,
that. It was committed dollar. They
it
were
was committed.
committed dollars. It wasn't like I was hoping I was getting that grant. They were
Right.
committed. And then
Yeah.
there was like, no. And that's like, we'll say unprecedented. Because
Yeah.
yeah, but that's a whole nother, again, conversation for another time.
Yeah. Well, when it hits people directly is when I think people get it.
Yeah.
If you don't have a disabled person in your life, you don't think about it.
Nope.
If you don't have, you know, uh, an elderly parent who needs care 24/7 and they're not eligible. My mother was not eligible for Medicaid.
Mm,
We were just praying that the little bit that she had would last as long as she did. And we were very lucky in that her money didn't run out before she passed.
yeah.
You know, that is a huge, I'm looking at my retirement, frankly, and going, holy crap. this isn't going to happen. This isn't going to work,
Right. I know.
longer term. So what do I do? No one will hire a 60x plus person, to in a lot of places just because of the age, or like you lose your physical ability. Like if,
Yeah.
if I can't lift a 50-pound box, I can't work it wherever, right?
Right.
Even
Yeah.
a, even
Like
a,
if you were going to take a Costco job because they have great insurance and
right,
you're covering the gap between this age and they make $25 an hour, you still have to lift 50 pounds.
right. And
Yeah.
there's no way that right now that I could consistently do that without causing bodily injury to myself long term.
Right.
It's a matter of what in the world do I do? And for people who are dealing with children who need support for their whole lives, like you said, how do you help them transition into their best life as an adult? Like, while you know that they need that 24-hour, if not immediate care, like they can go to the bathroom, they can do, that kind of stuff. Some
Right. Depending on
can't,
the kid.
depending on
Yeah.
the kid.
Yep.
Um, you still have to have someone there and responsible for them and their safety 100% of the time. And that's a scary proposition.
It is. And there's a lot of there, I will tell you, Julie, there are some very interesting models that are starting to emerge.
Uh-huh.
So, and a lot of it's coming from parents. And this is some of the things that I cover on the show. The ingenuity
I'm
of
sure.
parents is just amazing. And it just like it gets me so excited when I think about it. But yeah, there's absolutely some interesting models. So like we're in one model, right? So I described Nick's on this campus. She's in
Uh-huh.
Ann Arbor, Michigan, which by the way is one of the most beautiful communities in the country. It's a beautiful community. And she's like next door is the library. And so anyway, she lives on this campus.
Oh,
She can go and they have vans. So she wants to go to the store. We give her a debit card. She can do that. So that's all great. But we need like 80 of those. And the reason I
yeah.
say and the reason I say that is because I think the last estimate, so I'm going to do some numbers, but I'm not going to extrapolate them because I can't remember.
Oh, it's
But
okay.
what I know is that one in every 31 kids, I think, has autism according to the CDC right now. Okay, so we start there. That's one in every 31, I think, 8-year-olds, I think is how they estimate.
Wow, yeah.
Now, when they get to be adults, so the numbers might be a little bit different, but they estimate about 25% of those adults are level 3. These are the kids that require the 24/7 support. And I keep saying kids because Nicholas, my kid, I know that they're not all children, so I'm going to say that too. But yeah, so there's already really this tsunami of people that are going to graduate out of the school system and are going to need to create this adult life. And there are different models. So I've seen like, again, we got the model with Nick. I've seen some farms that are probably pretty interesting where they've got like a model where they live on the farm, they work on the farm. So there's a few of those. I interviewed this woman, her story, I don't think is public yet. It's called Flawless Farms that's coming up. There's also so a lot of them are like community campuses. That's kind of how they're setting it because that's how you share resources, Julie, right? So like they're talking about the
Yes.
24/7 support. It's not going to work individual basis, but when you've got a group of folks being supported by a team, and then they're working 8-hour shifts just like anybody else. So then you've got relief. Then the model becomes replicable. Then the model becomes scalable. So that's what we're starting to see emerge. But I will tell you that a lot of this for a while, though, is probably going to be based on the burden of families. So a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
families, they're going to, their kids are going to live with them till they're, I don't know, till they can't live with them anymore, till the parents can't
Yeah.
take care of their own health. And then that's where you're going to see bigger problems. Because
Oh,
I do,
yeah.
because a lot of parents they've figured it out and their child's going to live with them and until they're 70 or 80. But I will tell you, when I was at the Arc, we would see those families come in and they're like, oh my gosh, I now have cancer. And my husband has dementia and we have a 55-year-old, and this is just a person with IDD, not necessarily autism, but they're like,
Mm-hmm.
now what do we do? And we're like, well, you're going to need to do something different real quick because you have to take care of yourself now.
Yeah.
So that's very tricky.
Uh, uh, uh,
But
we are,
there's hope, Julie, because
there
if we
is
tell
hope.
more stories, I
Uh,
believe that we will
absolutely.
convince more people that we need these resources and start
Yes.
to invest in these types of systems and
And
infrastructure.
I think even even above resources meaning money and support,
Yep.
volunteers and whatever, resources meaning uh, mindfulness,
Hmm.
resources meaning let's not stigmatize, uh, acceptance, and the no stigma.
Right.
It just is what it is.
Right. It's just another family. Another
Exactly.
family that needs help. That's all it is.
That is exactly it. And there are a lot of families that need help. And there are more and more and more families need help just based on societal norms that need to change. They
Hmm.
really do. They need to change. We need to be more accepting, more supportive, um, get out there and be in the community, be a member of the community, not just isolate.
Right.
You
Not
got
just
it good? You got
yeah,
it
not
good?
just who
Well,
you
good for
choose that is
you.
just like you. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's not how the
Exactly.
world works.
That's
There's
not at
so many
all.
different people from so many different places. And you know what? That diversity, I dare say that word,
I
that
know.
that makes it so much richer. The experiences are different. Difference is cool. Like travel, like
Yes.
experience other cultures, like and really do it. Don't go to France and then go eat at McDonald's. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I know. I
Go,
know.
like, I would even say here in this country, if you're going to go visit somewhere, go try the local stuff. Don't stay and do the same. If you're going to do that, then just stay home.
Right.
I think it's
And
important to experience
then
other things that are different than you because it really opens you up to so many cool, interesting experiences.
and you might be the person that has the idea of a lifetime that can help so many people. You talked about
Yeah.
ingenuity and innovation. If you don't realize that people are out there and that need help and how you can help them and what their lives are like, you're not going to have those ideas. And
Right.
we need people both inside a community and outside of a community to have ideas to execute on and make life better for everyone, for
Yeah.
sure.
Having that cultivating of all those ideas creates like a synergy. And
Mm-hmm.
then that bubbles up from there are like the best ideas because they're truly more inclusive. Like I will give you an example. I had this
Okay.
woman on my show and she is an allyship, I think is like her specialty, but we won't get into
Uh-huh.
that. So she was talking about the curb cut effect. And what that means is she's like, yeah, so like for example, if we cut the curb on a sidewalk, yes, it makes it better for wheelchairs, but it also helps people with strollers. It also helps people with canes. It also helps people with, so all of a sudden it's something good for all ages and it becomes something that's truly inclusive that you do for one that ends up benefiting a whole bunch of people.
Everyone. Yes, that's a
Yeah.
great example. I love
Yeah, it
that.
wasn't mine.
I love
I'm
that
just sharing
though.
it. But
That's
yeah, but
terrific.
I love that because I'm like, that's what real inclusion is. It's like you open that door for one person, and then all of a sudden you open that door for so many others.
For different reasons.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we are unfortunately at time, if not a little
It's
over,
okay.
but I could do this all day with you. This is amazing. I have three questions that I ask at the end of every episode.
Okay.
So close your eyes for the first one.
Okay.
Tell me what you see in your mind's eye when I say wise woman.
Wise woman. Honestly, can I just tell you? I see my
Yeah.
mother-in-law.
Okay. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I'll tell you real quick about her. So not only is she a retired social worker, but she also is a former reverend of her church. She practices qigong every morning. She goes to the farmer's market. She is the leader of a local arts council. Like she does all these things, and then she travels all the time because cultures are important. Her church embraces all faiths. She has a group called Wise Women at her church that she runs.
I love
She's
it.
she's amazing, and she is one of my like models as
Yeah.
I grow older because she's not that old, but she's she's a great person, and I consider her a model.
Oh, the
I'm very lucky to have her in my life.
mother-in-law. Wow.
Mhm.
That's a
Yeah,
good one. I love it.
yeah, she's lovely.
Okay.
I don't know what I was supposed to say, but that was the first person that popped
No,
in my
that's
head
perfect.
was
No,
her.
it doesn't. There's no supposed to. I don't do those. Okay. So the next question.
Mhm.
Where do you like to roam, Wendy?
Oh, where do I like to roam?
Hmm.
Um, I like to travel. I do. And for a long time we couldn't travel. So because we were
Yeah.
primary caregivers. So when we were young, like my husband and I traveled to Australia, New Zealand for a couple months when we got engaged. We did backpacking. And now as we are finally now settled, now we're doing more travel. So we're going to Croatia. We went to Croatia last year. We'll be going to Europe again this year. Um, I wanted to go back to Asia because again, I think experiencing other cultures is the way to really create connectedness in this world. And
Yeah.
and I love that. And then honestly, I also like being home. I'm a fan of JOMO. That is the joy
Yeah.
of missing out. I love it. So like I'm also okay being home, doing a nice tub and kicking back with a good book. I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, I love it.
What about you, Julie? Where do you like
I
to
like
run?
Jomo. Oh, well, I lived in my RV for 2 years. So we traveled all over the country. I love
Um,
that. But I like to
what's
roam
your
in my
favorite? What
man.
was one of your favorite places when you did your travel?
Oh, upper Utah, northern
Hmm.
Utah. It was just so beautiful.
Hmm.
So, so, so
That's
beautiful.
not where the big five are, right? That's a different
No,
location in Utah. Okay.
yeah, it's a different location. It's northern. The southern is where most of the national
The
parks are.
parks. Yeah,
Yeah, but northern, oh, the mountains, just beautiful. Yeah.
that's amazing. We are lucky in this country
Yeah.
to have the West. So many
Yes,
beautiful places out there.
it's crazy. It's crazy how many different ecosystems there are.
Yes.
It's just crazy. But anyway, all right. My final question is this: what makes you restless in a good way?
At this point in my life, it's sharing this wisdom. Honestly,
Yeah,
like that's what's making me restless. Like I want to help other people. I don't want them. And when I say that, I realize I can't save everybody from, you know, whatever hardships they might encounter, but I don't
right,
want them to have to go the exact same way I did. Can I make it a little easier,
right,
right? By
right.
sharing that wisdom, can I make it just a little bit easier for people? And that's what motivates me. That's what keeps me going.
I think a lot of times the biggest enemy in those crisis situations is feeling like you're all alone.
Yeah.
And when people like you share, um, I went through a crisis situation. I have had these issues.
Mhm.
I got through it. It was not easy, but you are able to share authentically. You will get through it. And how can I help you?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and you just want to be there because sometimes
Yeah.
people aren't ready. That's the other thing too, right? They're
Yeah.
not ready to make whatever that change is. So you just want to be there and just listen. So you start
Yeah.
there, and then you can say, because I've been there, so I'm ready to listen. And then when you're ready to make some moves, we can talk about that together.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, Wendy, how can people get a hold of you or read about your
Yeah, I
story
would
or
love
support
that.
your organizations?
Absolutely. So you can always find me on LinkedIn. So it's Wendy Ernzen on LinkedIn. Friend me, love it. Connect with me. If you want to listen to the show, the easiest place is on my website, www.letsplanthouses.com. I'm also on Apple and Spotify, but if you wanted to go to the website, there's there. And then also that gives you information if you wanted to be a guest. I don't know if any of your listeners, whether they are a parent or an adult sibling of a loved one with IDD, I'd love to have them on the show.
Sounds wonderful. I have a couple of people in mind for you to talk to.
Ooh, send
So
them my
that'll
way
be
too, because
off.
I'd love to talk to them.
We'll send them your way.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Wendy. And people, please make a note in the show notes. I'll have all that information. And please reach out to Wendy and see how you can support the IDD community. Wendy, thank you so much. And we'll
Thanks.
talk later, I'm sure.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
Julie Noonan here. Thank you so much for listening to Roaming with Restless Women. If you're a successful senior woman leader who would like to be on this program, please visit podcast.intuitivewisdomcoach.com. If you enjoyed this interview, please share this episode on social media and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Your thumbs ups and reviews go a long way.